It's okay, I'm not gonna hurt you.
You bought me?
Yes.
And you're free. Let's get you a real prosthetic.
The sign was simple. Rough letters carved into a piece of scorched wood, held upright by two crooked sticks hammered into the cracked ground. Will work to prosthetic leg. She had spelled it wrong. Or maybe she hadn't. Maybe in her language the grammar worked differently. Either way, no one stopped to ask. Her name was Aelara. She was not fully human. And in the rust market of New Veydon, that was the worst thing you could be. She sat on a rusted metal stool at the edge of the market lane, her long silver-white hair catching the sick green glow of the bioluminescent tubes that passed for streetlights here. Her eyes, pale, almost colorless, with a faint ring of violet around the iris, watched the crowd without hope but without giving up either. That quiet stubbornness was the most human thing about her. Her left leg ended just below the knee. The stump was wrapped in clean cloth, she made sure of that. Whatever else she had lost in the collapse, she had kept her dignity. The mechanical brace she had been using for 2 years had finally given out last week. The screws had rusted through. She couldn't afford a repair. She couldn't afford anything. So she had made the sign, walked to the market on one leg and a broken crutch, and put herself up the only way she knew how. Labor, loyalty, hard work. The market roared around her. Traders shouted prices for synthetic meat and stolen water filters. Children darted between the legs of masked soldiers. Somewhere deep in the market, a man was singing an old pre-collapse song off-key, and it echoed through the ruins like a ghost. No one looked at Aelara's sign. A woman in a fur-lined coat glanced at it, read it, then looked at Aelara's face, saw the faint blue veins beneath her cheekbones, the slightly too large pupils, the ears that curved just a fraction too sharp, and kept walking. A merchant paused. Aelara straightened. He stared at her leg, then at her face. Then he moved on without a word. A group of young men walked past laughing, and one of them called out, "Nobody's buying broken parts, alien." And they kept walking, and Aelara said nothing. She had learned that answering only made it worse. Hours passed. The green lights flickered. The crowd thinned. The air grew colder, carrying the metallic bite of rain coming in off the dead fields to the east. Aelara pulled her wrap tighter across her shoulders and stared at the sign. Maybe I should go, she thought. Maybe tomorrow. She always thought that. She never moved until she had to. That was when she heard the footsteps stop. Not shuffle and keep going. Not slow and turn away. Completely. Right in front of her. She looked up. He was tall, broad across the shoulders, wearing a long coat the color of engine oil, stitched and restitched so many times it told its own story of survival. His face was weathered, jaw set hard, but his eyes were different from the others. They weren't calculating. They weren't disgusted. They were just looking. Her. The sign. At the wrapped stump. At her face again. "You work with your hands?" he asked. His voice was low even. Aelara blinked. No one had asked that question today. Yes. What kind of work? Mechanical repair. Circuit threading. Water filtration systems. I can read old-world engineering texts in 4 languages including pre-collapse standard. She said it all quickly, like she was afraid he'd walk away if she left any space between the words. He didn't walk away. 4 languages, he repeated. He crouched down so he wasn't standing over her. That small gesture hit her harder than she expected. Including standard. And Veydoni. And 2 dialects of Outer Rim script. He was quiet for a moment, studying her. Not her body. Her hands. The calluses on her fingers. The faint grease stain she hadn't been able to scrub out from under her thumbnail. The evidence of someone who actually worked. The sign says to instead of for, he said. I know, she said. The wood was small. Something moved at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile, but close. He stood, reached into the inner pocket of his coat, and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He held it out to her. She took it carefully. It was a work order. For a salvage station 3 kilometers north of the market. Lead mechanic position. Starting immediately. At the bottom, in clean ink, someone had written, prosthetic fitting included as part of hire package. Aelara stared at it. Read it again. Looked up at him. I'm Cale, he said. I run the Ironhold station. I've been looking for someone who can read standard engineering texts for 8 months. Every person I've interviewed either lied about it or couldn't do it. I need someone real. I'm not fully human, she said. She always said it first. Better to name it than let them use it against her. I know, he said simply. I need a mechanic, not a bloodline. She folded the paper, pressed it against her chest for just a second. Small enough that most people wouldn't notice, but he did. When do I start? She asked. Now if you want. I have a transport at the north gate. He picked up her crutch from the ground where it had fallen and held it out to her without making it into a gesture of pity, just handing her a tool she needed. She took it. She stood. She looked at the sign in the ground, that crooked, misspelled, stubborn little sign, and for a moment she almost left it. Then she pulled it out of the ground and tucked it under her arm. Cale raised an eyebrow. So I remember, she said quietly, what it felt like when no one stopped. He nodded. Didn't push. Didn't try to tell her it was over, or that she should let it go, or that things were different now. He just walked beside her, matching her pace on the crutch without comment, toward the north gate where the transport waited. Behind them the rust market roared on. But Aelara was already gone. Not running. Not rescued. Walking, on her own terms with her own hands, toward something she had built herself, one stubborn hour at a time. And for the first time in 2 years, the cold didn't feel like an ending. Felt like a door.